Morningstar Conference is going to kickstart tomorrow. Over the next 2 days, we'll be getting you the who's who from the world of markets as well as corporate India to talk about the outlook for the Indian economy and the markets at large. We thought best to do a curtain raiser ahead of the conference, for which ET Now is an exclusive media partner. And joining us right now to throw more perspective on how things will play out, what will be the discussion points, the theme of the conference, and the kind of insights we would get from there are two gentlemen, Chris Galloway, who's the MD of Asia Pacific Morningstar Investment Management, that is, and Anthony Serhan, who's also MD Research Strategy with Morningstar. Gentlemen, great to have you on the show. Chris, let's start off with the broad theme of the conference and what you hope to achieve with this event.
Yeah, thanks, Tanvir. It's it's a conference that we run in many countries around the world. It really is primarily, it's primarily targeted at helping investors make better investment decisions. So that's really our mission as an organisation, and we work very closely with organisations and advisors to help Indian investors make better financial decisions.
So I think as well as that, it's a great opportunity for many people in the industry to come together. And yes, you will talk about markets, definitely, but you'll also talk about the state of the industry,
that's true.
Where regulation is heading, those important drivers that are impacting the way people invest and also the way people are served by the Indian financial services industry.
The timing of the conference is interesting. We are at that stage where Neeraj and I were just discussing the other day that there are so many global headwinds. We have a US election coming up. There's all that talk about when the Fed would actually go ahead and hike rates. The whole Brexit process is still a big question mark. So in that light, is the focus really emerging markets, and within that India, because we are less controversial, I guess, is less disturbing our territory?
Oh, look, I'll start off with that. I think you're right. As you said, there are a number of issues unfolding and headwinds, and I think what's really important about this event is pulling those apart and actually trying to get a better understanding from the huge range of professionals we have on stage about how important are these issues. And clearly, India and Indian equities are an important part of that. So we have a number of panel discussions specifically looking at Indian equities. But some of those issues you talk about, I think the big question is, a lot of people are nervous about them, but how much of an impact will it actually have?
Yeah. Well, while it is anybody's guess, I think these conversations are fairly stimulating in that sense. So tell our viewers right now, what is it that they can expect from the conference? How different is this conference from the ones that have happened in the past? Either of you.
Sure.
I think it's a very broad conference. I think some of the new things that we're bringing to this particular conference include some insights from our behavioural finance team. That's that's really an area that we're very interested in as an organisation. We actually have people who will be able to talk about I suppose our global experience and how do you actually help investors not only understand more about markets, but how do you help them behave in a more logical, rational fashion. That'll be one of the key aspects. I think that'll be quite different. Our ESG, we've done some work on ESG, and we'll be highlighting that at this conference as well. I think it's not necessarily a brand new topic, but we're certainly delving into that one a bit more as well. In addition to, I think, some of the broad things that Anthony mentioned earlier.
And Anthony, I know the simple answer is that all the debates and all the conversations, all the presentations are great and they have their importance. But I'm sure there are some that you're really looking forward to. I'm really looking forward to, Nandan Nilekani, for example, speak. There's so much talk about what's happening in and around that whole pocket that he's served in the past and the things that he's doing currently as well. But what is it that you're really looking forward to? Something that investors should keep an key eye out for.
Other than my own presentation?
Sure.
Look, no, I really enjoy, honestly, listening to the Indian portfolio managers and chief investment officers, to get that range of views.
And you're the big guys tomorrow.
We have the big guys. We've got people who are got their fingers on the pulse, controlling a lot of money, and have also controlling a lot of people, spending a lot of time analysing the market. So I think trying to get a read on where India is at. And their view on that, for me, that's one of the most valuable things I get out of the conference. So very much looking forward to that.
What will your presentation be about?
So I'm doing a few presentations, but the first one is really trying to talk about trends in the way financial advisors are working and doing business around the world, particularly with a view to the impact of technology on how they work. Certainly we'll talk about robo-advice, but more broadly,
whether it can replace humans?
Can it replace humans? Listen tomorrow.
Okay.
And we'll talk about that.
Sure.
But it's certainly a hot topic.
Yes. With all these big influential market investors and participants that you have gathered under one roof over the course of the next 2 days, Chris, it'll be very interesting to see what the topics of each of the panel discussions would be. So what are some of the specific topics that you'll be touching upon? Because that will really intrigue viewers and who would be tuning in to kind of especially watch out for those specific areas.
Yeah, so maybe I'll just do a couple, Chris, but certainly towards the end of the day tomorrow, we have a number of CIOs coming on, and they're going to be talking about the way they invest. So certainly there's many investors listening, I think, to this program, to this channel, trying to understand that. So they're really going to peel back the way they have thought about investing and the way they approach that, and what are the things that have made their businesses good at doing investment. I think there'll be lessons in that for a lot of people. And then, the next day, and I think one of the things that makes us a little bit different as well is, the head of our manager research is going to be interviewing these CIOs and really pulling their portfolio's apart as well, about what they're investing in, why they're, what they're not investing in, those sorts of reasons.
Okay. And Chris, my final question to you is as well, the last 12 minutes of the Indian equity markets today. But, to your mind, how should one design principles of investment? I think that's something that you're probably going to do a presentation as well. And I think you're talking about how core principles are important for long-term wealth creation.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's a key thing. It's very sort of dear to our hearts as an organisation. But that session is around trying to look at what the great investors through time have actually done, the principles that they've actually followed in the context of actually how they've managed their own money. So we look at investors like Warren Buffett, investors like Charlie Munger, their idea about being long-term, valuation-driven. We take insights from John Bogle, the Vanguard Group, around, focusing on your investors, thinking about being a fiduciary, putting your investors' best interest ahead of yours, low cost, but really about just thinking through very carefully what are the principles, what's the belief system, the foundation that you want to have, as you think about your investment portfolio. So taking insights from some of those great investors and really just trying to unpack that for the audience and helping them think about how they might design their own
Will you manage to
set
get
of
Warren
principles.
Buffett next year? As well as talk to India and the Indian investors. That'd be something, right?
that'd be something.
Morningstar keynote speaker Warren Buffett talks to the Indian audience for the first
But
time.
I'm just looking at, which is, very impressive.
Incredible. That'll be
As we
cool.
wrap this up, I'm just saying that some of the key speakers and the themes of presentation over the next 2 days, there's G. Mahalingam, ED of RBI, about
some
where the
very
economy
big
is
names.
headed. Heminder Kothari and Vallabh Bansali on the evolution of the Indian markets, which is amazing. And I think over a period of time, Anup Bhaskar, Prashant Jain, Naren, which is amazing. Or for that matter, a Bharat Shah and a Shankar Sharma who are talking about the search for alpha. I think there's some amazing set of speakers that are lined up over the next couple of days, and it'll be interesting to hear them in person for whoever is getting the invitation, or through ET Now for whoever is not getting the invitation and still wants to be a part of the conference. So I think that way it becomes very impressive to my mind.
Yeah, and on that note, we'll let you go. You have a busy day ahead preparing for tomorrow. Thanks very much for coming by to the studios and speaking to us
Great
about
to be
it.
here. Thanks.
And
Thank
all
you
the
so much,
best.
Emma.
Thank you.
Very good.
Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/ETNow and don't forget to click the like button. You can also follow us on Twitter at ETNowLive. To stay updated with all our programming, hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel by logging on to youtube.com/user/ETNow.